Come to the next sutta, 7.7.65. Is also an important sutta. The Buddha said, monks, what time the celestial coral tree, the Kovilara Parichataka of the Devas of the 30, is withered in leaf, those Devas greatly rejoice. The celestial coral tree is withered in leaf. Before long now there will be leaf fall. And then he continues, what time the leaves are falling, they greatly rejoice. Falling are now the leaves. Shortly now will burgeon every bud. What time the buds appear, they greatly rejoice. Now the buds appear, soon the shoots will set. What time the shoots are set, they greatly rejoice. Now the shoots are set, soon will the blossoms form. What time the blossoms form, they greatly rejoice. Now the blossoms form, soon like the red lotus will the flowers be shaped. What time the flowers are shaped like the red lotus, they greatly rejoice. Shaped like the red lotus are the flowers. Soon the flowers will be in full bloom. What time the Kovilara Parichataka tree of the Devas of the 30 is in full bloom, those Devas sport for 4 divine months at the foot of the celestial tree, dallying and indulging the 5 pleasures of the senses. When the celestial tree is in full bloom, its effulgence pervades full 50 leagues. The perfume is blown before the wind 100 leagues. This is the power of the Kovilara Parichataka tree. I just stop here to comment. This is the Tavatimsa heaven, the heaven of the 33. There is a special tree there called the Kovilara Parichataka tree, the celestial coral tree. And once in a heavenly year, a celestial year, this tree will blossom and bring forth flowers. And then for 4 months, when the flowers are in bloom, these devas, they will enjoy themselves enjoy themselves fully under this tree, indulging in all the sensual pleasures. And it is because of this tree that the Asuras were formerly also in this 33, in the heaven of the 33, this Tavatimsa heaven. But because the Asuras, they like to drink liquor and become drunk and fight. So one day when they were drunk, Sakadeva Raja and his devas took these drunkard Asuras and threw them down from that heaven into the ocean. And so once a year, when this celestial coral tree is in full bloom, they remember that they used to enjoy themselves under this tree, and because they were angry they haven't been thrown out of the heaven, once a year they will go up to the Tavatimsa heaven and fight with Sakadeva Raja. And this story about the devas fighting is found in Buddhism. It is also found in the Christian religion, where they say Michael the archangel fought with Satan. And it's also found in the Hindu religion, these devas fighting. I suppose their origin is here. Then the Buddha said, in just the same way, monks, what time the Aryan disciple minds himself to go forth from the home into the homeless life, the Aryan disciple is withered in leaf, like the celestial coral tree of the Devas of the 30. What time the Aryan disciple has his hair and beard shaved off, and donned the yellow robe, and gone forth from home into the homeless life, is his fall of leaf, like the celestial coral tree. What time, aloof from sense desires, he enters and abides in the first jhana, his buds appear like the celestial coral tree. What time, stilling applied and sustained thought, he enters and abides in the second jhana, his shoots set like the celestial coral tree. What time, with the fading away of delight, he enters and abides in the third jhana, his blossoms form like the celestial coral tree. What time, with the abandoning of bodily pleasure, he enters and abides in the fourth jhana, his flowers are of the red lotus shape, like the celestial coral tree. What time the Aryan disciple, by destroying the asavas, enters and abides in full realization, his flowers are in full bloom, like the celestial coral tree of the Devas of the 30. Then the earth Devas utter a shout, "This reverend sir, called so-and-so, living the life of faith, of such a reverend one, gone forth from such a village or market town, has destroyed the asavas and dwells in full realization." Hearing the shout of the earth Devas, the company of the 4 royal Devas shout. And similarly, the Devas of the 30, the Yama Devas, the Tusita Devas, the Devas who delight in creating, the Devas who have power over others' creations, and the Devas of Brahma's retinue roll back the cry, "This reverend sir, living the life of faith, gone forth from such a village or from such a market town into the homeless life, has by the destruction of the asavas entered and there abides in that state of emancipation by mind and wisdom, which is free of the asavas, having come to know and realize this state fully for himself even in this present life. Thus in an instant, thus in a moment, the sound soars up to the Brahma's heavens. This is the progressive power of a monk who has destroyed the asavas." So you see here is a very interesting simile where the Buddha gave a comparison of a monk who cultivates the holy life and attains the arahanthood. And it is clear from here that to attain arahanthood, what is very important are the attainment of the jhanas, just like the flower blooming step by step. So having gone forth, he attains the first jhana, then the second jhana, and the third and the fourth. And after attaining the fourth jhana, he destroys the asavas. So you see here the attainment of jhanas can be seen to be very important, and the final attainment of destruction of the asavas or the final attainment of liberation is like the blossoming of the celestial coral tree flower. In this case, it is the blossoming of the flower of wisdom. And the flower of wisdom, just like the heavenly flower, goes through the steps of renouncing him, among a person renouncing the home life to be a homeless renunciant, and then attains the jhanas one by one until the full destruction of the asavas. So from here we also can see the importance the Buddha puts on the jhanas. You note very carefully, this is very unlike the commentaries, where the commentaries talk about the jnanas, attainment of the jnanas for full enlightenment. Here the Buddha is talking about attainment of the jhanas, which is quite different. Nowhere in the suttas do you find the Buddha talks about attainment of jnanas. But the Buddha always is talking about the attainment of the jhanas as definite requirements to enlightenment. The next sutta is 7.7.66. Now there arose in the mind of the Venerable Sariputta, as he sat alone in seclusion, this reflection: if a monk would abandon unwholesome ways, if he would make wholesomeness become, whom should he respect, whom should he revere, and on whom should he rely? Then thought the Venerable One, let a monk respect, revere and rely on the teacher if he would abandon unwholesome ways and make wholesomeness become. Let him respect, revere and rely on Dhamma, on the Sangha, on the training, on concentration and earnestness. Let him respect, revere and rely on goodwill if he would abandon unwholesome ways and make wholesomeness become. Then thought he, these things in me have been cleared and purified. What if I were to go and tell them to the Exalted One? They will become both purified within me and better reckoned so. For just as a man might come upon a gold ring of pure and sterling quality and think, this ring of mine is of pure and sterling gold, but what if I were to go and show it to the goldsmiths? My ring of gold passed by them will be both purified and better reckoned so. Even so, when I have gone and told the Exalted One, these things in me will be both purified and better reckoned so. I'll just stop here for a moment. Here, the Venerable Sariputta is talking about 7 things that a monk should respect and rely on if he wants to abandon unwholesome states and develop wholesome states. The first one is the teacher, that means the Buddha. The second is the Dhamma. The third is the Sangha. And the Sangha generally means the Sangha of the Bhikkhu Sangha. Sometimes it's also mentioned the Aryan Sangha. But then it's very difficult to know who are the Aryans. So generally it means the Bhikkhu Sangha. And you can also say it means the Aryan Bhikkhu Sangha also. And then the fourth one is training. This training, the last time I spoke on the suttas, I mentioned this training as being generally the precepts. Actually, I made a mistake there. There's more to the precepts than just in training. The training generally means the whole of the training in the holy life, in the spiritual path. That means the various things to cultivate. In, for example, charana. In charana, there are a list of things to cultivate. For example, sila, moral conduct. And then there's contentment. And then there is guarding the 6 sense doors. And there's moderation in eating. There is devotion to wakefulness. And then there is cultivating the 7 Saddhamma, the 7 excellent things that we just spoke about just now. And then Sati Sampajanya, mindfulness and awareness. And abandonment of the hindrances, seclusion, attainment of the 4 jhanas. All these are part of the training. And the training also means to submit oneself to a teacher, because when one submits oneself to a teacher, the teacher guides a person along the holy path. Some people think that coming into the holy path is just meditation. It's not really, because the aim of the holy life is to let go of our attachments, let go of our likes and dislikes, finally to let go of our ego. And when a person comes into the holy life, he does not know all these things are important. Sometimes, like in the forest monasteries in the Thailand, you are taught to, when you go on alms round with the teacher, and when you come back and the teacher's bowl is full, you have to carry the teacher's bowl in addition to your bowl. And sometimes some monks not only carry 2 bowls, they even carry 3 bowls. And they make it a point to even beg the teacher to give them the bowl, because they want to submit to their ego, to let go of their ego. So, and then they carry the teacher's bowl, and they come back, and then when they come back, they get water ready, and they wash the teacher's feet. And many monks go and wash the teacher's feet. All this is humbling oneself. This is all part of the training in the holy life. It is not like some people think, just come, wear the robes, and meditate all the time. That just by meditating all the time, you cannot let go of a lot of attachments. So all these things count. This is all part of the training. And letting go of our likes and dislikes. Whatever the teacher says, we think that he has more experience than us. Then we submit ourselves. Instead of thinking to do what we like to do, we do what the teacher likes us to do. These are all part of the training. So now the sutta continues. Then indeed the Venerable Sariputta in the evening arose from seclusion and approached the Exalted One. And having come, he saluted the Exalted One and sat down at one side and said, Lord, as I sat alone in seclusion, this reflection arose in my mind. Whom should a monk respect? Whom should he revere? And on whom should he rely if he would abandon unwholesome ways and make wholesomeness become? And I thought, he should respect, revere and rely on the teacher, Dhamma, the Sangha, the training, concentration, earnestness and goodwill. These things are cleared and purified within me. But if I were to speak about them to the Exalted One, they would be both purified and better reckoned so. Just as if a man were to find a gold ring, etc., and take it to the goldsmith, it would be both purified and better reckoned so, after being passed by them. Even so, these conditions in me, etc., etc., after I have spoken of them to the Exalted One. And the Buddha said, well done, Sariputta. A monk should respect, revere and rely on the teacher, Dhamma, the Sangha, the training, concentration, earnestness and goodwill, if he would abandon unwholesome ways and make wholesomeness become. When he had thus spoken, the Venerable Sariputta said, Lord, in its fullness I know the meaning of what the Exalted One has said in brief, that a monk should lack veneration for the teacher, but should venerate Dhamma. Such a thing is not possible. He who lacks veneration for the teacher lacks veneration also for Dhamma. That a monk lacking veneration for the teacher and Dhamma should venerate Sangha is not possible. Similarly, that a monk lacking veneration for the teacher, Dhamma and Sangha should venerate the training is not possible. That a monk lacking veneration for the teacher, Dhamma, Sangha, the training should venerate concentration is not possible. That a monk lacking veneration for the teacher, Dhamma, Sangha, training, concentration should venerate earnestness is not possible. That a monk lacking veneration for the teacher, Dhamma, Sangha, training, concentration and earnestness, but should venerate goodwill, such a thing is not possible. He who lacks veneration for the teacher, Dhamma, the Sangha, training, concentration and earnestness, lacks veneration also for goodwill. So also, Lord, in the opposite cases, that a monk should venerate the teacher, but should not venerate Dhamma, such a thing is not possible, etc., etc. Thus, Lord, in its fullness I understand the Exalted One's speech. And the Buddha said, well done, Sariputta. Well have you grasped the meaning of what I have said in brief, even in its fullness. And the Exalted One confirmed, word for word, all that the Venerable Sariputta had said, adding, thus is the meaning of my speech to be regarded. So in this sutta, these things, 7 things are important for a monk if he wants to abandon unwholesome states and develop wholesome states. The interesting part here is that the Buddha said, if a monk does not venerate teacher, it's not possible that he would venerate the Dhamma. If he does not venerate the teacher and the Dhamma, it is not possible that he will venerate the Sangha. And if he does not venerate the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, he will also not venerate the training. And if he does not venerate all these 4 things, he will also not venerate concentration. So you see here, the concentration again is stress. And in the Buddha's discourses, we always find concentration is always given as a precondition for wisdom. That is why concentration is always stressed in the discourses of the Buddha. The next sutta is 7.7.67. This is another important sutta. The Buddha said, monks, although a wish such as this may arise in the heart of a monk as he lives without applying himself to making become, oh, that my heart might be freed of the asavas and be without attachment, yet his heart is not so freed. And what is the reason? Let it be said, it is lack of making become. Making what become? the 4 intense states of mindfulness, Satipatthana, the 4 right efforts, Samappadana, the 4 bases of success, or sometimes the 4 base is translated as the 4 bases of psychic power, Iddhipada, the 5 faculties, Indriya, the 5 powers, Bala, the 7 factors of enlightenment, Bojjhanga, and the Aryan Eightfold Path, Arya Atangika Magga. I just stop here to comment. This making become actually is the Pali word is bhavana. Bhavana, making become or development. And here the Buddha is saying that if a person does not make become or develop these 37 things, he cannot attain destruction of the asavas. These 37 things are called the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas, generally translated as the requisites of enlightenment. And here it is quite clear, all 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas are necessary for the destruction of the asavas. It is not just the 4 Satipatthana. 4 Satipatthana is just 4 things out of the 37. Then you need the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of success, the Iddhipadas, the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, and the Aryan Eightfold Path. Now there's a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya 149 where it's stated that when the Aryan Eightfold Path is fully developed, all the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas are fully developed at the same time. And Samatha and Vipassana, tranquilization and contemplation, are led to work together. So, you see, when the path to enlightenment taught by the Buddha is basically the Aryan Eightfold Path. But when you cultivate, develop fully the Aryan Eightfold Path, all the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas are automatically cultivated. Now the Buddha continues, monks, it is just as if a hen sitting on 8 or 10 or a dozen eggs. If the eggs were not fully set upon, nor fully warmed, nor fully made to become, and although such a wish as this might come to that hen, oh, that my chicks might break the egg shells with the spiked claws of their feet, or with their beaks and bills, and hatch out safely. Yet it is not possible for those chicks to break the shells with their claws and beaks and to hatch out safely. And what is the reason? It is because, monks, those hens' eggs have not been fully set on, nor fully warmed, nor fully made to become. In just the same way, monks, although a wish such as this might arise in the heart of a monk as he lives without applying himself to making become, oh, that my heart might be freed of the asavas and be without attachment. Yet his heart is not so freed. And what is the reason? Let it be said, it is lack of making become. Making what become? The 4 intense states of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of success, etc., etc. Monks, although such a wish as this might not arise in the heart of a monk as he lives applying himself to making become, yet his heart is freed from the asavas and attachment. And why? Let it be said, it is due to making become. Making what become? The 4 intense states of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of psychic power, the 5 faculties, etc., etc. Monks, it is just as if 8 or 10 or a dozen hens' eggs were fully set upon, fully warmed, and fully made to become. Although any such wish might not come to the hen, yet those chicks would hatch out safely. And why? Because the eggs were fully made, were fully warmed, fully set upon, fully made to become. In just the same way, monks, although a monk might not express such a wish, his heart would be freed from the asavas and from attachment because of his making become the 4 intense states of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of success, etc., etc. Monks, just as a carpenter or a carpenter's apprentice, inspecting the handle of his adze, sees thereon the marks of his fingers and thumb, but knows not how much of the adze handle was worn away that day, nor the previous day, nor at any time. yet knows just when the wearing away has reached the end of wearing away. Even so monks, a monk intent upon making become, knows not to what extent the asavas were worn away that day, nor the previous day, nor at any time, yet knows just when the wearing away has reached the end of wearing away. Monks, just as in an ocean-going ship rigged with masts and stays, after it has sailed the seas for 6 months and is beached on the shore for the winter, the stays, affected by wind and heat, rained upon in the rainy season, easily weaken and rot away. Even so monks, in a monk, abiding intent upon making become, the fetters easily weaken and rot away. That's the end of the sutta. This is a very good and important sutta where it says that if a monk cultivates the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas, then even if he does not wish to become enlightened, he will automatically become enlightened. But if he does not cultivate the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas, even if he made a wish to become enlightened, he cannot become enlightened. And the last part is the interesting parable of the carpenter's adze. The carpenter's adze is for planing the wood, and in our days, our present days, the adze, you have to hold it with 2 hands to plane the wood. But during the Buddha's time, they probably held it with 1 hand and planed the wood. And because of the carpenter using the adze day after day, the finger marks are impressed on the wood. The marks can be seen on the wood. But the Buddha says that the carpenter does not know how much of the wood was worn away at any time, today, yesterday, or any time. So in the same way, when we practice the holy life, we do not know how much of the defilements have been worn away. This probably implies that a monk cannot be sure whether he has attained what stage of Aryahood. But at the end, when he has completed all his work and he become an Arahant, then he knows. Just in the same way, the Buddha says the marks on the adze, he does not know how much has been worn away, but finally, when the finger dents are impressed on the wood, then he knows that the wood has been worn away. So this is a very important simile, which tells us that the holy life only when you have completed the work, then we know that the work is completed. So some people, they think they go for a short retreat and they want to destroy so much of the asavas, so much of the fetters, but it's not for sure that you know according to this parable. It's only when you are Arahant, then you know. So I'll stop here. And